Hi, everybody. It's Karen Matzo here, and I am super happy to present to you today the creative ideas to provide equitable art education via distance learning. And I'm very happy to welcome two amazing art teachers. So Paige Covello up top and Mary Tuttle. Paige Covello, she's been teaching for 25 years, and she is a past MAEA Elementary Art Educator of the Year and a Rotary Educator Award winner. And she has 3 delightful semi-adult kids, and she skis and she cooks and she makes beautiful flowers. And she is just a warm and friendly person who I happen to know. Is all of those things. And Mary Tuttle has been teaching for 15 years, and she teaches K through 8 in Salem. And she's also got 2 semi-adult children. And she enjoys walking her dog and doing yoga and making all kinds of art. So welcome. And Mary and Paige, feel free to turn on your cameras and wave to the audience if you'd like. And then when we do the presentation, we will take you off again. So there is Mary.
I'm trying to turn on my camera.
Paige is working on it. No
Share
pressure.
Oh, can you see me now?
Yes. So there's Paige. Wave to everybody. Awesome. Okay. So, I forgot about this problem. Okay. And you guys can turn off your webcams now because that way people can see the presentation. And Paige, while I'm projecting, you might want to, when you have a moment to yourself, try to get the PowerPoint back so that if I have to give you, or Mary, if I have to give you control to see the videos, that would be great. And if not,
so would I do that by just pressing change presenter?
Nope. You need to, well, we'll try it again later. We'll see what happens. We'll deal with it when time comes. And I'm Karen, and I am the Professional Development Director at DS. And many of you have probably seen me before on these webinars and some other DS folks, and we're happy to have you. We're really happy to be able to provide some sharing. So Paige's and Mary's agenda today, they're going to start with talking about ways that they've connected with kids and ways that they've collaborated with their fellow art teachers in their district and collaboration with the district at large, so sort of going beyond just the art department. And finally, there is finding the joy. And okay, I have to smile. I just have to tell you that a very good friend of mine is on, and she has acknowledged that it is my birthday. So thank you, Cheryl. Okie doke. So some logistics in our webinar. First of all, the New Hampshire Department of Ed has sponsored all of these webinars for free and for you. And we are very grateful. So thank you to the Department of Education for providing this to our New Hampshire educators. The second group of people that we want to thank is all of you, because in the last 3 weeks, I don't know how many of you on the webinar have gotten our newsletter, but I wrote a blog about this. It has been absolutely astounding and inspiring to meet the thousands of New Hampshire educators that have come and joined us for these webinars, and to hear the stories of how hard everybody is working and how creative everybody has been and just persistent. And it has really made my week, my day. It has made my quarantine. So I just want to thank all of you. And then lastly, just to give you a little review of the logistics here, GoToWebinar control panel is on your right, and you can write in questions throughout the webinar. Whoops-a-daisy, that was interesting. You can write in questions throughout the webinar, and I encourage you to do so. I will be monitoring questions, and and we will hopefully, thanks for all the birthday wishes, guys. Hopefully we will be able to answer many of them before the webinar is out. And then after the webinar, all of you will get an email. And the email will contain a link to the PowerPoint, a link to the certificate of attendance. It will also contain a link to the recording on YouTube because we have a YouTube channel. And then immediately at the bottom of the webinar, there's a certificate that can come up immediately that you can also access that says your name on it already. The one that you access in our folder won't have your name on it, but it'll have the information of the webinar, and you can download it and put your name there. Okay. Just to acknowledge, the New Hampshire Department of Ed has set up for you a remote instruction site, and everyone should go ahead and check that site because it's got a lot of information. It's got webinars, it's got policy decisions, it has all sorts of important information, so we encourage you to go ahead. And without much further ado, I am going to bring you Paige and Mary, and they're going to talk through all the cool things that they're trying to do with kids, some successes, some not so much, and they'll tell you all about it. So go for it, ladies.
So a question, Karen, should we turn on our cameras or just talk?
You can keep your camera off now so that folks can see the slides.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. So I'm Paige, and I will start talking about the ways that we've tried to connect with our kids, and then Mary will jump in after. So first we have to start by saying, for us, we had no notice that this was going to happen, as probably was the case for many of you. We went to school on Thursday and then heard there's no school Friday, but the building would be cleaned, and we thought that we were going to be going back on Monday. So we all left and went home and had a day off on Friday, and then started to hear no school on Monday, no school for 2 weeks. So this was not something that we planned for. We're also not a technology heavy district, so a lot of our students did not have computer setups at home. It's not like they were all sort of set up for this, as it was, I'm sure, the case for many of you. So the first thing that we were instructed to do was to just start calling kids at home. So we just got lists of phone numbers from classroom teachers and just started calling kids and FaceTiming kids and just telling them hi and sort of reassuring them that we were still there and thinking about them. That was sort of step one. Another way that this is all sort of in that first week, our school uses Class Dojo, which is like an app that families have where they can connect with their kids' teachers. And so we sent pictures to them and sent out little messages to them on Class Dojo. We had a Facebook page that just got set up in the past couple of weeks. So we put our faces there and we said hi. You'll see in the slides coming some sort of, within the first 2 weeks, quick little creativity challenges that I sent out to kids because we really had no direction at this point. Our district was having us work on curriculum materials, which were going to be distributed to families. They could access them online if they had online access, or they were being delivered and they could pick up food for breakfast and lunch and groceries, and so they could pick up a packet of work, and the lessons that we were creating were in those packets. Mary, do you want to add to some of the ways that you guys reached out to families in the beginning?
It was very similar. We use Remind, which is another way of accessing families, and our classroom teachers were reaching out to them, and our counselors were trying to reach every family just to make sure that we had contact with everybody.
So then, sort of as this turned into what was looking like a longer period of time that we would be out of school, we had two things going on. One thing was that we were continuing to work. There's 5 art teachers, 5 elementary art teachers. And so we were continuing to work together to develop curriculum for families and students to access either through these learning packets or online. And then we were also trying to find ways to maintain a presence for the kids. I think that was different for Mary and I. For me, I started setting up with my the PE teacher and the music teacher that I work with. We started setting up Zoom specials meetings, so we had access to all of the kids whose families were on Class Dojo. So we sent out invitations with a link to go to a Zoom meeting or a Google Meet meeting, and we would just sort of do a little bit of art, a little bit of music, and a little PE in these meetings for whoever would show up. I also offered this week for the first time a drop-in Zoom art studio, and I sent out a link to the whole school and said, anybody who wants to do some artwork, please, click this link, bring whatever you have at home, and we'll just sit and create artwork together, and we'll have a sense of community. While we do that, you can talk to me if you want to. You don't have to. You can share if you want to. You don't have to. So those were 2 things that I did at my school that I will continue doing. But there were ways to sort of get in front of the kids as quickly as we can. Mary, what about you?
Well, I think we're looking at your creativity challenges. I think taking a look at the next slide is a good idea. So this is one of Paige's challenges that she posted to Facebook in Dojo. Just trying to, we realize that our kids do not have access to a lot of materials, and we're assuming that they have nothing. So we're not assuming that they have crayons or scissors. So we're trying to make things as simple as possible. But we know they have lots of recycling and paper, and we try to focus on things that they could do within their own homes.
I love this.
And it was just, it was one of those things where day one, like, oh my gosh, what do the kids have at home? I mean, we left, we have stuff in the kiln that's waiting to be fired. We had a glow-in-the-dark art show coming up that, things are in the drying rack half finished. And it was just sort of like, you feel terrible leaving the kids in the lurch. And so you kind of want to give them the opportunity to say, hey, look, it's not all gone. We're still creating. So we all have toilet paper in our house. So just grab this. And kids started making things with toilet paper tubes and sending me pictures of them.
The irony is that not everyone had toilet paper in their house.
Well, yeah. And that was sort of like the whole joke, is the whole toilet paper craze. And this slide just shows how I reached out to invite students to meetings, because for us, Class Dojo is a pretty universal way that our school connects. Some of the classes don't really access Class Dojo as much, so then those classroom teachers sent an email with the link so that those families could access those. For Mary, it was different. I think the next slide shows one of Mary's invitations.
Yeah, we went mostly through Remind, and the teachers would write up their daily agenda. They would be having their classroom meetings and then include any supplies that I would need for my lesson. For this one, it was 1 piece of paper, 1 writing implement, and 10 coins or something sized like a coin, so that we could play a game that was very easy to do through the visuals of using a computer and a screen. I'm not sure what the next slide is.
We're talking about the collaboration with art teachers.
I think this was probably one of the positive things that came out of this situation for us because we're all at different schools and there is no time during which we meet together as a team of art teachers. You know, Mary and I happen to be good friends, so we will collaborate, but that's all on our own time. And the nice thing that we've found, that we know, and you probably all do too in your districts, is that we all bring something different to the table in terms of our experience, creativity, who's good at what. And so now we had this opportunity where we actually got to work together in meetings as we started to plan our curriculum. So Mary, do you want to talk about the videos that we started working on?
So I think the first one was our germ video. We were just trying to find a way to get our faces in front of the kids. So I made a video that was just me and my living room, asking the kids to think of 3 superpowers that they could bring to this whole experience, and do a germ drawing that would then go on their front door. So this was the first one that rolled out through, probably mostly through Facebook posts, was the germ video. Can you access it?
I don't know. So Karen, how can I play this? How do I go?
So I will give you do you have it on your computer?
I have it in my drive, yeah.
Can you access it now?
I can try that. Sorry, everybody. Oh, look at this. Here I am. I'm back. Okay, let me space up to it.
Hold on.
As far as the videos, though, it was really very fun to kind of explore all this new technology, and we all kind of had a lot of fun kind of doing these lessons individually and then seeing what we all brought to the table. It was really interesting to see how 5 different art teachers would solve the same problem.
Okay, so can I, let's see, if I play this.
Just go for it. Yes.
Let's see.
Chances are likely.
Oh, look at that.
Hi, welcome to the art room. This isn't an art room, I know, but I have markers and papers and an idea, and that's all I need. So I want you all to take a create break. And I've asked some of my friends in some of the other buildings to join me. I want you to consider during this really weird time, what you are doing to keep yourself and your families happy and healthy. So think of 3 things that you're doing, or 3 things that you're helping with, or 3 ideas of things that will get you through this kind of tricky time. So I want you to draw a picture of each or make a symbol for each. It's very small. I have a little turtle shell because my name is Tuttle and I feel like I'm going to be tough like a turtle shell. I've got a little yin yang bear because I'm trying to find balance between work and family and good health. And then finally, I'm trying to find creativity in anything, any place that I possibly can. So those 3 things, this is a picture of the coronavirus. What would your 3 symbols look like as a virus? So take some time and draw it. This is mine. I've got my creativity spouting out. I've got my balance shape, my turtle shell, my nature and different things. This is the image that I created. And then I want you to give it a name. So you might combine the different pictures. Think about what is in it. So mine is called Touch, Art, Teach, Oculus. I think, oh, FAM is in there as well. So I want you guys to create a beautiful germ using all of those different things. And then this is the germ that we want to spread. So I want you to stick it on your window or on your front door and just make people think about the kind of good.
Okay, now.
Great, Paige. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me again?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So that was an awesome video that Mary put together that we all then sent, all the art teachers sent Mary a photograph of ourselves with our germ, and she put them into the end of the video so that we could all use this video and send it to our kids and say, my friend Mrs. Tuttle at Salt and Stall made this video, and this is what the art teachers are doing. Why don't you give it a try? And we sent it out through Facebook, and I used Dojo, and kids could then, you know, take some time creating some of their ideas for germs. We have a couple other videos that I think we'll show little clips from, because they're all things that we made just in the past 2 weeks. And I think that they give a good sense of ideas to be creative and artistic with whatever is around you. So the one that I'm going to show now is a repetition video, and I'm just going to show a part of it. And then I'll show little clips of all the other ones, just so that you can maybe get some ideas of things you can all do with your kids. So here's part of the repetition video.
Brava.
So that's another one. Let's see if I can get to a few more. This is one that, and now this one I put in here, it's not finished, but what I was thinking about with this was the fact that, I mean, I never made a video before. I have some teenagers at home that have reluctantly agreed to help me, but most of us are really new to teaching this way, and it's okay. We just have to sort of learn and do the best we can. But the important thing is that we are pushing these ideas out to the kids. So here's one about going on a texture hunt. And again, you know, this is not in finished form, but it just sort of shows kids that there's stuff all over the house that they can use for art. Let's see, I want to go back.
I have a quick question, Paige.
Yeah.
One of the questions was, how are you filming them?
So so for the texture video, I had my daughter follow me around with my phone and film it on my phone, and then I was doing the editing and adding like the stock music and all of that in iMovie. The next one I'm going to show is an upcycle video. I had just a little tripod that I put above where I was working and just, filmed it that way in like selfie mode or whatever. Nothing's
Right.
sophisticated.
I think
Mary,
with
what
all of
about
the
you?
art teachers,
Same,
we're
right?
all doing something a little different. Some of us have teenagers at home and some of us have tripods. It's all depends on what we have available to us.
Yeah.
Mary, are you using your phone too?
Yeah, mine was all done on my phone.
It's pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of really great technology out there for the computer for making videos right now. And interestingly, we haven't talked a lot about using phones, so it's great.
So we actually have been instructed by our district that starting after April vacation, we are going to be responsible for creating 3 video lessons a week. So it's like a must for us. So that's why we've been working on these. And sort of
you're being encouraged to use like Screencastify in Google Classroom for those.
Yeah. So here's part of one that's upcycling that is a little bit different because it was sort of made almost like with a in a Canva, sort of like a PowerPoint and pulled in. And then this is a combination of like the stills with also the filming from the tripod. Oh, whoops, is that the nature? Whoopsie, sorry, did it wrong. Uh-oh, hang on. All right, here's Upcycle. So that one you can see is like a combination of the stills and the filming. And then we have the nature.
Just before you go, I just want to share something. So one of the, Cheryl wrote in that she's using her school iPad to film. And a question that I had real quick is, in addition to music, does iMovie allow you to put voice instructions in?
Yes.
Yes.
It does.
Okay, because that's kind of neat too. I mean, just in case you have non-readers.
Yeah. So with the germ video, I put in the photos of the teachers and then voiced over who they were, like kind of did a reveal. So you can do a voiceover over stills or over video. Pardon me.
And it's a lot easier to film without the sound because then you can edit everything and then you can, almost have like a script that goes with your video once you have it created.
And there was a desire to have less talking and more modeling, because so there was more equity, so that we could really, that was something that we wanted to make sure that we weren't over talking.
Right. This nature challenge video is something a little different because it gets kids outside, which is kind of fun. I'll show you a clip of that. So that's Mary's dog. That's Grover. So go ahead,
I just
Mary.
wanted to mention, Paige, that I've used a number of these videos and looped in famous artists and used them for middle school as well. So the nature challenge, I looped in Andy Goldsworthy. The repetition one, there was an artist noted in the beginning. So I've used those for an older group of kids as well.
Yeah, I think that as we've been creating these videos, we've all tried to keep in mind that this is like it's sort of like an anchor point or a starting point for us to then further develop. For example, with the nature challenge video, when I reintroduce it to my kids after the vacation, I was going to add a short video of myself doing a read aloud with a book called Anything Artist, which is it's actually a book I got on Kindle, which I'm going to read to them from the iPad because it has the pictures, because it's a hard to find book. But our principals want the kids to see our faces. And so we sort of have created these videos without our faces, but then we'll go back and we'll flesh them out into like a fuller unit of study for the kids at home, with adding a read aloud or a little intro or some kind of a wrap up that is, you know, a shorter clip to show the kids so that they can see us. Mary, do you have something to add to the videos?
No, that's it.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
The iMovie is on iPhones only, correct? Or Macs, correct?
I believe it's only on Macintosh, yes.
So
Yeah,
someone asked about an editing app for Android phone. Do either of you know?
I don't, but what I do want to tell everybody is that and we'll come to this at the end of, there's a slide at the end for other resources, but there are lots and lots of people out there doing videos for their kids right now, art teachers, and the Art of Ed, which is I guess it's like an online learning platform, professional development platform for art educators. They have some very good, simple how to create instructional videos for your students, specifically designed for during this coronavirus time where we're doing distance learning. And I remember that some of them, I think, do address the different types of devices, or, you know, iPhones versus Androids, and the different ways that you can film and the different programs that people use for editing. So that website is in the end of this presentation, but it's definitely worth checking out because there are people that have been doing this kind of thing for a long time, and they're really very generously sharing and offering their expertise. So you have to dig a little, but I think you can find those answers, and also like free tutorials. So especially if you don't have a teenager to boss you around.
And earlier I had copied and put in the answers for everyone a link, and it may be the same link that someone shared with resources and online PD for artists and art teachers. And Jessica asked about students, any ideas for students on the spectrum that parents have to do with them? And I think I'm going to save that question for later and encourage people to unmute themselves, and I can raise their hand rather, and I'll unmute them. So let's talk about that in a little bit, Jessica.
Okay.
I think we'll actually get into that in the next topic.
Yeah, I think we do when we talk about accessibility with how we planned.
Okay.
So now this slide talks about the collaboration with the district. So like I was saying before, our district asked us to create work for students that would be available either online through their website, distance learning website, or through a printed packet that families could pick up when they picked up their food. And we had to keep in mind that our city has a very high English language learning population, that we had to really consider how we used language, as well as make considerations and accessibility requirements, I guess, for special needs students. So some of the things that we were advised to do was to use photos, create word banks, use the same words over and over again, so that people could recognize the words and not use too many words. So, and something that we were really focused on was that assuming that our students really had no materials at all to access at home. Some of our students don't even have internet. So if they were getting this in a paper form, they wouldn't, have to go online to find the resources or whatever they need. So, Mary, do you want to talk about the choice board?
Yeah, so this is the choice board. We had 2 of these, and this is just a portion of it, but were there 15 activities per board? I'm not 100% sure, Paige. But they just kind of gave okay, so we had 2. So one went out with the first group of, I think there was a mailing every Thursday with the food, and they were picked up. They had paper copies as well as their online copy, and this kind of was a way to get a lot of options to the kids, because none of it was mandatory. We just wanted to give them a lot of options so that they could pick and choose and do something that they were happy with, comfortable with, that was at their level. So this is the one that was built for K-5, and it's our challenge board, so they could pick and choose. And we tried to include a lot of photographs, but we also had a second page, which had adaptations for physical and language, and then also a vocabulary page at the end of the choice board. So we tried to give a lot of options to folks so that they didn't have to have anything on hand, and that everybody could access. So if you didn't have crayons, you could use clothing out of the laundry basket to make a portrait or whatever. So we just tried to give them a lot of options.
And our accessibility experts were asking us to put pictures of things like the correct way to hold a scissor, or pictures with the different supplies like the glue stick. So we tried to do that. I mean, this is all shown in color. I think that what was printed and given to the kids was not in color. So that was another thing that we had to consider when we were designing these, is how they would reproduce in black and white. So you know, and our music and PE departments offered something similar, like a calendar form or a choice board kind of thing, just to give options for also for families who were like families of cousins staying together, or, you know, multi-age kids in the house, they could do something together. So let's see what else. Oh, and then, so Mary, now this is your Schoology and Google Classroom set of slides, if you want to talk
Right.
about.
So initially, we weren't 100% sure how to reach kids, and our middle schoolers were currently using Schoology. So I just added challenges in there, and again, you can see that some of them are very closely linked to what we were doing in the lower grades, but I would just kind of up it a little bit, make it a little more challenging, and then have them send me their results. But none of it was mandatory. It's going to become like a 1 a week kind of thing moving forward, but as of right now, it's just trying to get them to be making stuff. But again, the challenge is always, what do you have at home and how much access do they have? So we wanted to kind of keep it to the simplicity of what they could possibly manage at home. But Schoology was what we were using for our 7th and 8th graders. And then, yeah, that's just the way it was organized for us, and our 5th and 6th graders as well.
Okay, and then our district is going to be going to Google Classroom after vacation. So Mary already is working on her Google Classrooms. You want to discuss those?
You know, again, we're kind of all just trying to figure this stuff out, and what's the best way, and how to keep parents from having to go too many places. It's so complicated, and it's so complicated for us and these families that have multiple kids at different grade levels going in different ways. So we're just really trying to figure out the best way to get stuff to kids without overwhelming families. And that's really what we're trying to work. That's what we'll be working on, kind of clearing that all up over the school vacation. But we'll be moving to Google Classroom for our delivery for K through 4 and 5.
Yeah, as will we.
Google Classroom as well.
Yeah, and I think that both Mary and I, with our school, we've decided that we would like to have the 3 specialists living at one Google Classroom, because we're hoping that will make it easier for families to navigate. We're trying to, you know, like Mary said, minimize the amount of clicking they have to do to find the activities. So this just shows Mary's already started really organizing everything and starting to put it in there. Which is
great. And Google Classroom's tricky as well, because you don't want to be overwhelmed with email coming from students, because we see everybody. It's really tricky. We want to kind of be in control of our own classrooms without, because otherwise you get all this information from the other teachers, the classroom teachers. So it's kind of tricky. We're still trying to figure out how it's all going to work.
Yeah, I mean, we're really, I am a very much a Google beginner. I went to a Google Classroom training yesterday, and you know, it's really, we're all just learning it, but at the same time we're learning it, we're having to deliver it. So do not feel alone, because I think that we've all really we're all put in the same position, and certainly what I've found from the parents that I've spoken to is they're really just appreciative of the opportunities that when they can access them, that we're providing for their kids. So I don't know, I've found the families to really be giving us a lot of grace with this learning curve that we're in.
I think you're making New Hampshire educators that are on feel really good, because I think many are familiar with Google Classroom. So, so thanks.
Yeah, so I mean, when I tell you my classroom, I really I use very little technology in my art classroom. I have a projector that's new. I mean, it's old, but it was new to me this year. So this is the first year ever that I've been able to actually project something from my computer onto the whiteboard. You know, it's really, my classroom is very low tech. And so this is all brand new to me.
Well, Paige, I think we've always kind of prided ourselves on being low tech.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
want our
That's
kids
true.
to get messy and dirty. It's the one place they can. So this is really hard to
Yeah.
be out of that mode. So I think we probably all are feeling that it's hard not to get messy. It's hard to sit in one place for a long time too.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. So now our next, now this gets happier and more fun. So we have a list of things here that have helped us find the joy in working this way. I think that both Mary and I agree that the most joyful and part of this experience is when we actually have the live kids' faces in front of us. So whatever way we do that, whether it's through a second grade morning meeting, or a third grade Zoom specials, or any of the online opportunities that we are providing for the kids to drop in and see us, those interactions have been really joyful and fun and happy. And we've come up with a list of things that are have been tried and true for us for the past 2 weeks. And so I'll describe the ones that I've done, and then Mary can describe the ones that she's worked on. You'll see on the next slide, I think, a simple tic-tac-toe board and a game board that I had the kids make when they were sitting in front of me in their morning meeting. And we just used symbols and shapes and different kinds of lines, and then basically played a game of like Foursquare or tic-tac-toe, where they had to try and get as many in a row as they could as I called them out, like heart, put an X through the square where you have a heart, put an X through the square where you have diagonal lines. And we just kind of went through like that, playing.
Can we see, Paige?
What?
Can we see it?
Sure. And then I should go back. So that is, I mean, those are simple. We just drew them, and I would like draw, and then I would hold my paper up to the screen. See, kids, just draw like this. And they just drew a bunch of stuff. So it was organized into squares, whether it was 3 by 3 or 4 by 4. And I just called them out one at a time. And we played until everybody's board was full. And it was just like a silly little interactive game. Let's see, I'm gonna go back. All right. And Mary's been playing I Spy.
Yeah, if you can set everybody up in a grid, you can play I Spy and just say, I spy with my little eye a wall that is red. And all the kids are completely engaged in the looking and the exploring and the trying to find whose room is the red room. So it's just gives them something to really focus on as well, with the being on a screen.
Mary, are you in Zoom with them? What are you using for that grid?
So we have been using Zoom, but I just recently learned how to download an extension in Google Meet, where I can set it up in gallery mode as well.
Got it.
And we're mostly in Zoom for us. I don't know if we'll switch to Google Meet once we're all in Google Classrooms. I'm not sure. The other thing that I did with some 4th and 5th graders yesterday that was really fun was we played Pictionary. And in Zoom, if you share your screen, you can share your screen to a whiteboard function. And so you can actually draw on the whiteboard your picture, or you can have the kids have a piece of paper and a clipboard and something to draw with, or a book to lean on. And the way that we worked Pictionary was I private messaged in the chat one child, and I said, draw spaghetti and meatballs. And I didn't tell them who was going to get the message. And so everybody sat there, and then somebody got the message, and you could tell, you know, whoever looked down and started drawing would be drawing whatever the picture was. And if they weren't drawing on the whiteboard, what they would have to do is draw a little bit of the picture at a time and keep holding it up. Kind of like that commercial with the sloth playing Pictionary, where the line is getting drawn very slowly. They had to be able to really, you know, show the picture in progress so that people could guess. And the kids really enjoyed that. It was really fun. You know, the older kids, our kids that have been given Chromebooks if they didn't have technology at home, and the Chromebook way to get to a whiteboard is a little more complicated. So the clipboard and paper works just fine. But
as an aside, there's a couple different whiteboard technologies on the internet that you can use anytime you can project a screen, and one of them is called AWW. So for those of you, if you want to write that down, that's another option, AWW whiteboard, and it's super, super easy.
Well,
and,
that's good to know.
Yeah, and you can invite people to join your whiteboard.
Oh, so you could do like a collaborative drawing.
Yes.
So like all that stuff is fun because it's just a way to sort of laugh and relax and get interactive with the kids. When I've had the kids come to meetings, I've asked them to bring some artwork to share, and that has actually absorbed quite a bit of time because the kids will just show their artwork and talk about it just like we would in class, and then other kids can comment or ask a question, and that's been a really nice discussion, especially because kids have brought some really different, interesting things. One little girl brought a box. She had painted the whole box with nail polish, and she was showing us the box and the characters that she made to go inside it. Somebody else, you know, would bring oil paintings that they did. Somebody else would bring a puppet they made out of a cardboard tube. So, you know, all of that was a lot of fun. I think for the kids to feel like they were able to show and talk about their artwork and share it with their friends. The scavenger hunt, Mary, you guys have done that, right?
Yeah, we've done the color scavenger hunt, and it's so funny. You call out a color, and all these little heads go darting off into the little squares and come darting back in holding some object. So we did the rainbow scavenger hunt, and it doesn't take long, but it gets them thinking, and you know, you clue them into what would be the next color in the color wheel, and so there's guessing involved and running around, and it's very cute. It makes you feel like, okay,
you can quiz them, like hold up the two colors that make orange, and you know, and have them quiz each other. And there's an example of that on the next slide too. Draw it together. So we did, I'm calling it a squiggle share for lack of a better name, but what we did was I just had all the kids have a paper and something to draw with, and they just closed their eyes and drew a squiggle, and then held up their squiggles, and then just took turns calling out different kinds of lines or shapes that everybody should add to their squiggle. And we did that for a minute or two, and then we all took a few minutes and turned our drawings into some kind of a picture and then shared them. Again, just sort of like a drawing warm-up kind of thing.
So I think that folks are going to start to get off the webinar because it's scheduled to end around 4, and it's okay to go over, but I don't want folks to miss the fabulous things that you have to share.
Okay, so we'll speed it up. So here's the rainbow exercise scavenger hunt. This is self-explanatory, and that's fun to do. It's like a mix of activities and colors, finding things. This was during a Zoom. I just brought up a piece of art and shared my screen and started a discussion, and then kids just created art that was inspired by this.
How did they share the art with you, Paige?
They just held it up and showed it. And then the Getty Museum in California has a challenge to recreate famous artworks using household items, and we'll show you a couple quick examples. And then we'll talk about the way that...
Go back. Let's see. Go back. One more.
Oh, sorry, did I go too fast?
Yes.
That's me. Jumping around like an idiot in my backyard. And then these are two of my kids. That's what happens when your mother's an art teacher. And why don't we come back to this if we have a chance, because we can talk about Padlet, which I think is a great resource for people.
Yes, and we certainly should keep going. I just wanted to make sure that folks got to see some of those.
Okay. Mary, you want to talk about Padlet?
So we were feeling like it's really hard to know if the loop is closing. You put this stuff out there and we had no way of knowing whether things were being seen. So Paige found this website basically where you can set up you get 3 free, what do they even call them, Pages? 3 walls?
I guess they're called walls. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're called. They're called pads. They're like, I don't know. We use them as walls, though. We use them like a bulletin board in school.
Right. So this was a really easy way for us to see if the kids were finding work. So at the end of any challenge, we'd say, post it to the Padlet. And then each of the schools set one up to kind of see if we would start to collect things. And in the early days of all of this, when we were just kind of putting stuff out there and not really knowing what was sticking, this was where I found my most joy, because I would go in every morning and just be like, oh my gosh, someone's out there, someone's looking at it, someone's making stuff. And to the point where I sent it out to our teachers who were frustrated and stressed out, and they'd see their little students' faces making art, and it just made everybody feel better in those very early days of all of this. So the Padlets were a big success, and we'll be using them going forward as a way for the kids to show us what they've made, and so that we can give feedback as well. So you can show some of the Padlets, Paige.
Sure. It's like a big portfolio. So, and there's an app for your phone, as well as, you can access it on the computer. But if you can see on the first one, I just gave the directions. Post it here by tapping the plus button. So if you were to scroll down to the bottom, you see a plus button. All they do is take a picture and upload it to Padlet, and it's super easy. Here's some more examples of some of these are the nature challenges, right, Mary? And
yeah, and that's some of my middle school work. They were illustrating a poem.
And then I think some of the germs are on here too.
Yeah, it's there's some germs, and I use the top of my Padlet to post the lessons again. So if I put something out on Facebook, I would then put it on the Padlet as well, so that if I would change the color so that the kids would know that there is another place to access the lessons if they wanted some direction. But some of the stuff that ended up on the Padlet was, their own kind of doing. But a lot of it was linked to things that we were putting out there. So it was good to
I felt
see
like a lot of the stuff that my kids put on were just the art they were doing at home, and whatever, anything goes. It's just nice to see them doing the artwork. And then, I agree with Mary. I think that our teachers and our administrators were like so excited to see what the kids, and to see what the kids were doing, and that they, were creating things, and people wrote nice comments and all of that. So
Do you need to approve the images before they're posted?
It
Well,
all depends on how you set up your Padlet.
yeah.
I put mine
Okay.
out there so
That's
that I didn't have to. There's preferences in how you set it up.
Yeah, same with me, because I felt like um, for my kids, it's their parents that are taking the pictures, really, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of, but you can certainly set it up to approve the images. You can also set it up to approve the comments. That's all the preferences. And then let's, and then I guess to wrap things up, I guess we just want to stress that the way to find the joy in this weird time is to really try to get to your kids however it is set up for you to do that in your school, you know? And we just have to get even more creative now that we have to assume the kids have nothing, and find ways that they can create with nothing.
And feel successful. We don't want to set any child up to feel like I'm because they're on their own. Like we can't direct them. So it's trying to find that zone between we want them to feel like we're giving them something extra and not frustrating them, like because we can't help, you know. So
Yeah.
it's a tricky kind of thing, and you want to kind of walk that line between giving them success and not making them feel like they don't have what they need to make that happen.
Absolutely. And that does happen. That's hard. You know, I've seen that in these interactions, and you want to like jump through the screen and sit next to the kid and help them, but we can't. So that's, you know, it's a lot of sort of trial and error with what is going to work with who's in front of you.
Thank you.
Now these resources at the end, I'm a big, like I was talking about the Art of Ed. I love the Art of Ed. I listen to the podcast when I walk my dogs. They have free webinars every Thursday night. I think they're on the 4th webinar that is very much focused. It's come out because of its like the new coronavirus distance learning kind of thing. And it's all, you can listen, if you register, you can listen for free to all and view all of the past webinars, which I think they're on number 4 this week. And you can watch them live starting tonight. It's like Central Time Zone, but they've got great articles, great professional development. A lot of it is free. Also on Facebook, there's a group, Elementary Art Educators, that people are putting videos and links to resources and links to digital museums and all kinds of great stuff. I actually haven't accessed a lot of it, but I click on it and I look at it, you know, and all of that's out there for free. So that's definitely available. Mary, would you add anything to this?
No, and I mean, I think that using the people in your district, I mean, and we've been so fortunate to be able to collaborate. So it's taking advantage of that this time, because it doesn't happen very often. So that's been really great.
Yeah.
A little feedback here from one of the attendees.
Yes.
She teaches K, and then she's been doing a lot of directed drawing lessons. The kids are loving this time. And she said to both of you, you gave me lots of ideas. So thank you.
Oh, that's nice. Good.
It was great. I'm going to take the screen from you, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's all
Is
yours.
it time?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're all set. Yeah.
And someone sec. I just realized that I'm not up to speed with you. So you guys, that was wonderful. I love to look at all these creative things. There's all our Padlets again. I wanted, before all of you sign off, I just wanted to let you know that on weekly, you should look on our Facebook pages because we've been having New Hampshire students performing once a week on our Facebook page. A couple weeks ago, we had Sam Robbins, and last week rather, we had Lilia Schwartz Potter and or Potter Schwartz and Mira Potter Schwartz and playing violin. So we've been having that. I wanted to direct you to our recorded webinars on YouTube. So Demonstrate Success has its very own YouTube channel. And so the recording of this webinar and other webinars will live there indefinitely. And you can go there to watch them. The other thing that is not on this slide, which I want to tell you all, is that we're having a webinar on Wednesday at 3 o'clock next week on using Google Forms. So everyone is invited to that. And I thank you all for coming today. And I thank Mary and Paige immensely because I have loved listening to the creative things that you have been doing. And I think that so have all the attendees. And we've gotten some really nice appreciation written in. So thank you for that.
Okay.
And those of you that are on today, you can feel free to contact me or Anne or Sarah at any time if you need anything. So that about wraps it up. So thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, Paige and Mary, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you.